look all ways and air and sunshine galore. However, she is quick to note that, quote, the windows are barred, there are rings and other mysterious things in the walls, and the bed is nailed down. As for the wallpaper itself, the opposite seems to occur. At first she declares, quote, I never saw a worse paper in my life, end quote, and describes the color as, quote, hideous, end quote, a smoldering, unclean yellow, unquote. It is, quote, repellent, revolting, and infuriating, and the pattern itself, quote, commits every artistic sin. But the more time she spends with the wallpaper, the more it becomes a living thing to her, the more she appreciates it. Quote, I'm getting really fond of the room in spite of the wallpaper, perhaps because of the wallpaper, end quote. It seems she shares an affinity with the wallpaper. Quote, there are things in that paper that nobody knows but me, or ever will, end quote. When her husband remarks that she, quote, seems to be flourishing in spite of the wallpaper, end quote, the narrator reveals that she, quote, has no intention of telling him it is because of the wallpaper, end quote. Interestingly, though, this narrator has not gained a newly found appreciation for the beauty of the paper. Rather, it is recognizing what is, quote, not beautiful, what is, quote, old foul and bad yellow about the wallpaper that is strangely liberating her. The narrator is being liberated from the things that have constrained her by seeing them for what they are: smoldering, unclean, repellent, revolting, infuriating. In the end, the narrator is profoundly affected by her surrounding environment and suffers what seems to be a complete nervous breakdown. It is clear, though, that Charlotte Perkins Gilman's The Yellow Wallpaper is not merely a story of a mentally and emotionally wrecked woman in the late 19th century. This is a story which presents an articulate criticism of the treatment of women in a restrictive, confining, male-dominated society at the turn of the century. The physicians, the limiting marital relationship, and the setting itself provide the context in which the author and narrator of The Yellow Wallpaper can articulate this entrapment, the suffocating effects of such a society. The combination of all of these restricting influences preys upon the mind of the narrator. And it is that mind, after all, that complicates matters. It is a woman's struggle for independence and personal freedom in an uncompromising hierarchy that is responsible for the narrator's final descent into madness. So, that is my short essay that was due in that class turn of the century. As you can tell, one reason I chose to read that paper to you, and I thought of it today that I should read it to you, is in my classes at TU, the professors would read us papers they were writing for books. So, in other words, chapters for books or articles they were getting ready to publish in international publications that would publish what they had to say, what they were studying at the time period. I did want to tell you my works cited page on that, because whenever you write a paper in your junior, senior level years, graduate school, and even here, if you use an outside source, you have to, of course, recognize that you have it. So here is my source list, and I just wanted to let you know that I had found some material on the actual doctor who told her that and caused this whole thing to happen. So one of the pieces that I read was actually The Yellow Wallpaper from the particular textbook I used. The second thing was an autobiography by Charlotte Perkins Gilman, The Living of Charlotte Perkins Gilman, an autobiography. And then another thing, Secret Corruption Within, Sin, Sickness, and Historical Consciousness in 19th and early 20th century American Literature. There was another book I found called Charlotte Perkins Gilman's Yellow Wallpaper and the History of its Publication and Reception, a critical edition and documentary case book. And that's, I think, where the material about the doctor was included. So as you can see, I mean, this is an incredibly deep text, and one which raises a number of questions. And not just this was just what I chose to write about, was her descent into madness and what it meant for her as a narrator. I mean, it affected her life profoundly. She is one of those authors that I never cease to be amazed about. I mean, I love reading about her and rereading about her. Well, I hope this helps you, and I hope there's some material in here that not only helps you write your own papers and see how a critical essay, a literary essay is written. This is a standard literary essay. Do you know what I mean? I tried to read it with the quotes in there so you knew where I was bringing in material and how I incorporated it into my own sentences, into my own argument. So what you do is literally you have a thesis and you support your thesis with direct quotes from the text itself. So anyway, that's enough for today. I'm almost at 20 minutes. I hope you have a great week, and I hope that somewhere in this you found this to be an enriching experience for you. All right. Well, I look forward to reading your papers for this week. Have a good one. Bye-bye.